I don't know why I'm putting this on the internet. What's going on, gang? Long time no see. How you been? Hope everyone is doing great, all things considered. I am okay. I figured I'd pop on, let you guys know that I'm still alive, make a short video explaining where I've been and what I've been up to the last couple weeks. Not that I'm important or anything like that. It's just there are a handful of you guys who watch me regularly, and I kind of ghosted y'all. And that was rude. I apologize for that. It really wasn't my intention. It's just kind of how things panned out. And when I tell you what's been going on, I'm sure you guys understand because you're awesome. But regardless, it was still rude. And I shouldn't treat people who support me like that. You guys deserve a little bit of an explanation. And I might get into a little bit too much detail. All of that being said, I'm probably going to delve into some more serious subject matter, so if you're younger or looking for entertainment or some yucks, probably not the video for you. Yeah. Anyway, so where have I been? How do I start? What do I do? How do I do this? So if you've watched me stream long enough, you probably know that I manage my mental health with medication. I've been taking prescription meds since 2015, and I've known for a while that the medication that I was on was becoming less and less effective over time. My body's gotten used to the ones that I was taking for almost a decade, and something needed to change. And sure enough, change has happened, for better or for worse. Although, in my opinion, it is partially responsible for my current hiatus. But to get to here, we have to go back a few months so you have an understanding of how I got into this boat to begin with. You got a little bit of time for an adventure? Okay, let's go. Come on. So, November, I was on Wellbutrin with the gabapentin, and I've taken that for almost a decade. Then December, we switched the Wellbutrin out with the Lexapro and gabapentin. That didn't work. So in February, we switched to Alvelity, and then this month, I started Trintellix. So since November, I've been on November, December, January, February, March. Okay, so 4 months I've been on like 5 medications for my brain. I don't know. My therapist says that they've changed my medication a lot in the past couple months. I don't talk with people about mental health medication, so I don't really know what pace is a good pace to like switch in and out of your medications, especially when you're trying to perfect that right cocktail. The first time I got put on meds, I didn't have to try that many. I guess I got lucky. But this time around, I'm having some problems. So on top of switching my medications fairly quickly, I've also had to deal with mismanagement on behalf of my healthcare professional. Those are the words I'm going to use. Basically, at the beginning of February, my psychiatrist said, do you want to try something new? This drug's only been out for a year, and we've had some great success with it. And I was like, sure, let's do this. I'll try anything. Let's go for it. He said, all right, we should know within a week if it'll help you or not. And I said, okay, what happens if it doesn't work? He said, well, we'll figure it out. Problem here is my psychiatrist only comes to town once a week, and he schedules me a month out. And he didn't change the schedule to account for if this medication would work or not. So the week was up, and I knew it wasn't working. I was just getting high, and it was an uncomfortable high. It was like a bad trip. All 8 to 12 hours that I had to take it. You might remember it. At the beginning of February, I was playing High on Life and I had an anxiety attack. You guys might remember the world's worst Tic Tac, where I was taking it at night to mitigate the symptoms of being high for that long. So I ran into problems with this medication, and the next week I called the doctor's office and talked to the nurse. Nurse talked to the doctor and was like, yeah, you can just stop taking that medication. Well, I haven't been off of medication since 2015, and I know that I am not the same person on medication as I am off of medication. I was like, are you sure that's a good idea? And the nurse pretty much was like, well, if you feel better taking it, take it. We'll put you on the cancellation list, try to get you in as soon as possible, figure it out, but cool. So for the month of February, I was taking that pill at night. That wasn't really working. The good news is my doctor had a cancellation, so I got in a week early. Instead of waiting a little over a month, I just waited a month. Anyway, I met with my psychiatrist that day, and he went over some notes that I had been taking in regards to like CDS, cognitive disengagement syndrome. And he decided to put me on Trintellix, which he described to me as a cognitive enhancer. And my general research just tells me it's like an antidepressant, which, okay, whatever. My psychiatrist told me that I could start taking it as soon as the next morning. Basically, he would call in the prescription, I'd go get the meds, and then I could start my new antidepressant. Awesome. The problem is, Walmart didn't fill the prescription. That day, it was in the system. I checked. And then I didn't get filled. And I checked the next day, it wasn't even in the system. So I called up the pharmacy and I said, hey, where's my prescription at? And they said that my insurance needed to give them pre-approval first. Basically, my insurance needed to tell them that I needed the drug, even though they're not doctors. They're just paying for it. But my doctor's the one who prescribed me the medication. I'm starting to have a real problem with these large companies and how dumb they are. Between my issues with the insurance company and Google not approving my AdSense and YouTube's creator solutions being a bunch of dumbasses. That's right, I said it. It shouldn't be this hard. My doctor said I needed the medication. Obviously, I need the medication. I have a built-out history at this point. I've run into this problem before trying to get my Adderall, which Adderall makes sense. Adderall is technically a controlled substance, but this is an antidepressant. It's not. At least I don't think it is. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given me a sample of it. At this point, one of my biggest worries has come to fruition. I don't have any medication. And on top of that, it's the first time I've been off of my meds in almost a decade. How do I even talk about this part? I knew it was going to be a bad time. I knew it. But this happened on the 27th. So the last time you guys saw me was on the 1st of March. I streamed BioShock. It was a Saturday. If you remember correctly, it was a late stream, and I was not feeling well at all. And it's because I was getting dizzy. And the reason for that is because I spent literally all day staring at a screen. Before that stream, which lasted, 4 hours and 11 minutes, was I had spent, the previous 8+ hours making a video commenting on President Zelensky's visit to the White House. For the last week, I have been going down the rabbit hole of politics. It has been the only thing that my brain has been able to latch onto. But broke, you might find yourself asking, what does this have to do with being off of your mental health medication? Well, that's a very good question, and I wish I had a better answer for you, but the best one that I can come up with is it was the first time that I was off mind-altering medications in almost a decade. It wasn't even like I was coming off of the one that I had been on for years. I was coming off of my third consecutive medication. I went from essentially chaos to nothing, except for Adderall, and I can't tell you that helped at all. It wasn't good. I got really, really, really depressed. Super depressed. The most depressed I have been for a very long time. It felt like 2015 again, where I would sleep for 18 hours, and then walk out into my parents' lawn, stare off out into the field, and then go back inside because it was overwhelming. I'm in the middle of nature, someplace that should be super peaceful, and I just didn't know what to do with myself. And it felt like that all over again, and I hated it so much. I'd go through periods of nothingness, to periods of super depressed, and then I would catch a thread involving politics, because of today's political landscape is super freaking stupid. I'd catch a thread, and then I was I need to make a video about this, and that's what I did. And I've spent hours and hours and hours. I launched a whole nother YouTube channel, and I'm not here promoting the YouTube channel itself, but it's a YouTube channel dedicated to me just talking about politics, and it only has 2 videos on it right now. The first is Zelensky's visit to the White House, and the second one is Joe Rogan interviewing Elon Musk. But I'd catch these threads, and I'd be I need to talk about it. I need to react to it. I need to do something. And that's what I would be doing. And that's what I was doing on the first one I played BioShock. So for 8 hours that day, I watched this stupid interview at the White House happen. And I watched it 3 times, and I had to edit it, and I spent my whole weekend doing that. I can't say it was the worst use of time, but I spent, however long I would take to normally make a video, 20 some odd hours, but it's not like a gaming video that'll gain 800 views. It was about politics, and it got 10. The trade-off was terrible, but it's what I did, and it's the thing that I could focus on, which seems like a terrible thing to focus on, today's political landscape. But it also kept me from spiraling into, despair. So while I can't look at you and say it was the best use of my time, it was also time that I didn't spend in a black hole. And that's a small win for me, I suppose. Anyway, this lasted a week. I was off antidepressants from the 27th of February to March 6th. And the wild thing is, my healthcare provider called me and goes, "Oh, your doctor has these samples for you. I forgot to tell you about them." Cool. So I went and picked them up, and I started taking them on the 7th. It was ironic because I picked them up, got back home, sat down here at the desk, and I got a phone call from the insurance company denying my pre-approval. This is the thing that I have to deal with now. I'm torn between wanting the medication to work and hoping that it doesn't. In that, I don't want to be in a downward spiral any longer than what's necessary, because it's not fun. I want my medication to work. I want to go back to feeling like a sane human being. But on the other hand, what if they do work and the insurance won't cover it? Do I have to go back to paying out of pocket? I don't have spare capital to allot to new drugs every month. I want to go back to feeling normal so I can go back to normal. I suppose if there's one bright spot in all of this, it's that the Trintellix seems to be working for me. Every day seems to be a little bit more productive, and I seem to be in a little bit of a better mood. Every day the drug works itself into my system. I don't feel like I'm in a deep, dark hole. I don't feel insanely sad. I'm not in the same place as I was last week. And that makes me feel hopeful. And that's a nice feeling to have, considering where I was last week. The only problem is, I don't know what my future on this medication looks like. I could be back to last week in a week and a half. And for that reason, I think I'm taking the rest of this month off from streaming. My thing is, like, when I stream, I want to be somewhat entertaining, and I want to feel good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want streaming to turn into a chore. I don't want to be sad when I stream. I don't want to get sick. I want to be able to stream and feel good about it and be something that you guys like to watch. And I don't feel that way right now. And I don't want to just beat myself into the dirt trying to be, while knowing that I can't be that guy right now. I don't know when I'm going to resume streaming. I'm hoping in a month. I don't know. I really don't. So that's where I've been the last 2 weeks. Right here, in the worst type of headspace. I'm still here. I guess ideally, my insurance gets their heads out of their asses and covers the medication that might help me get back to being normal. I say this as someone who, as they were last week, was applying for jobs, and I was like, I can't work these. There's no way. Like, I wrote some baller cover letters, I'll tell you that much. The cover letters I wrote, amazing. I applied to like 5 jobs. Didn't get any callbacks on any of them. Must be I missed that window where all of the jobs were open that nobody wanted to work, and they got filled with like robots or government employees who got laid off. To be fair, I wouldn't have hired me that week either. I don't know if I'm accomplishing what I set out to accomplish by making this video. I guess I wanted to let you guys know what's going on and maybe give you a snapshot of what it's like to be up here sometimes. It's kind of hard, like, communicating that the way I am right now. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of like ad-libbing this entire video. I didn't want to make a video addressing my mental health and script it. I feel like that would be disingenuous, so I am ad-libbing it. But I don't know if my words are conveying the message that I'm trying to communicate. And because of this difficulty, I feel like it might be best just to try something that I've only done one other time on this channel, and that is read an entry directly out of my journal. So this is from March 9th, and it's a couple days after I started Trintellix. It's a fairly tame entry. I'm definitely still depressed in this, but at the same time, I definitely was not in the place that I was in the entries previously. So it might give you an idea as to where my brain was at the beginning of March, at least. Like I said, this is from March 9th at 11:42 a.m. I was feeling lost. It's the little note that I made at the top. What the f am I doing? My life isn't going anywhere, and all evidence suggests it probably won't start looking up anytime soon. I'm in purgatory, but it might as well be hell. I keep zoning out and becoming distracted. I've spent an entire week in La La Land. I didn't even realize it's been a week since I've streamed. The only thing that's kept me anchored, semi-anchored, is my rage towards politics. I can't keep that up. A state of hyper-focused rage in the form of spewing random thoughts at a camera. That won't help my mental health. It might be the only thing keeping me mentally aware, but it's not providing me much else. I sorted nuts and bolts last night in my living room. I figured I'd tackle the solo cup of them that was sitting on my end table, and it turned into a project. Might have been a tiny waste of my time, but it's honestly a project that's needed worked on for a while. I've had all of this hardware floating around, and it's needed sorted. I bought stickers for bins a long time ago. Figured I'd use some time mindlessly sorting it. If only Hulu had better docuseries to watch. I don't know. Maybe I'll switch to podcast today. I still got quite a bit to sort, and now it seems like the time to work on it. Hopefully Mom and Dad are okay. Maybe I'll call them later if I don't hear from them about trash. I haven't been calling Mom because I haven't been in a good place. It's better I stay away while my mood hopefully regulates. Lashing out in anger isn't fair to my mom, and making her worry about my depression isn't son of the year material. Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know if that gives you a better picture of where I was at. If anything, it gives me a better picture of how long I've been sorting hardware, because that project is still on my coffee table. I think this is probably a good place to wrap up this video. I don't want it to get any more confusing or bloated than what it already is. Just know that I'm okay. I am in a much better place than I have been the last couple weeks. I do have a little bit of hope for the future. Granted, it's not a lot. It's not like a dump truckload of hope. It's more like a shot glass full. But at least that's something. All of that being said, I want to thank you guys for your kindness and your patience, your understanding, and your support. Y'all are honestly the best audience that I could have hoped to be discovered by, and that makes me a lucky person. I can only wish that I was just as fortunate in other aspects of my life as well, but who knows? One of you might go on to revolutionize the American healthcare industry, and I might finally catch a break there too. But until then, I'll just have to keep doing what I do, and that's persevere, despite failing over and over and over again. Because it's what I do. Anyway, you know me, King of the Midwest goodbye over here. Thanks for watching.